The night felt too calm for what was coming. Nia sat at the kitchen table long after Zuri fell asleep, her fingers tracing circles on the wood the same way she once traced the outline of Ethan's promises. Promises that never lived long enough to become real. Across town, Ethan stared at his ceiling, the silence louder than any board meeting he'd ever commanded. His phone stayed beside him, screen face up, waiting for the call that could either split his world open or finally make sense of it. Morning arrived without mercy. The clinic's number flashed on Nia's phone just as she zipped Zuri's jacket. Her breath caught, not because she didn't know the truth, but because she wasn't sure the world was ready to hold it. She answered, a polite voice, a pause too long, then reality lay bare. The results confirm a 99.98% paternal match. The world didn't explode. It simply shifted. Zuri blinked up at her mother. Mom, is it him? Nia cupped her daughter's face. Yes, baby, it's him. Zuri nodded slowly, almost as if she had known all along. If you're following this journey, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. Meanwhile, Ethan's phone buzzed. He answered so fast he nearly dropped it. When the nurse delivered the news, he didn't breathe, couldn't. His knees gave out, and he caught himself on the edge of his desk. A billionaire brought to his knees by a truth he once ran from. He whispered only 2 words, my daughter. But the moment cracked open wider when his office door swung sharply. Mrs. Caldwell strode in, polished, controlled, furious. Her pearls gleamed like armor. You got the results, she said. I assume you know what must be done. Ethan wiped his face, eyes reddened. What must be done is acknowledging my child. She's not one of us, Mrs. Caldwell snapped. She will stain everything we built. Ethan stood, not the corporate heir she molded, but a man finally choosing something real. She's mine, he said, and I won't pretend she isn't. Mrs. Caldwell's voice chilled. If you go through with this, Ethan, you'll lose more than your name. He exhaled slowly. Then maybe, he whispered, I need a new one. Across town, Nia held Zuri's hand as they stepped outside. The air felt different, heavier but honest. Zuri looked up at her mother. Will he come today? Nia wasn't sure of anything anymore, but she answered with hope anyway. Let's see if his actions match his words. Because the truth was out now, and truths like this could never be buried again. The day after the DNA results, the city felt too small to hold what was coming. Nia braided Zuri's hair at the edge of the bed, each parting clean and gentle. But her hands paused when Zuri asked, will he still come even if his mom doesn't want him to? Nia kissed the crown of her daughter's head. Baby, love reveals who people really are. Let's see who he chooses to be today. Across town, chaos dressed itself in diamonds. Mrs. Caldwell's lawyers filled her penthouse, briefcases, contracts, and voices sharpened by wealth. She paced in front of them, her heels tapping like a threat. My son will not jeopardize our legacy over a mistake from 11 years ago, she said coldly. I need solutions. Quiet solutions. A lawyer cleared his throat. Ma'am, now that the results are public record at the clinic, controlling this situation may be difficult. Mrs. Caldwell's eyes flashed. Then make it easy. She didn't just want control. She wanted erasure. Meanwhile, Ethan stood outside the cafe Nia had chosen. A simple corner spot with mismatched mugs and sunlight that didn't try too hard. His hand shook. He wasn't afraid of Nia. He was afraid of the version of himself, she remembered. When Nia and Zuri arrived, he stood straighter. Zuri spotted him first. That same jawline, that same stubborn spark. She didn't run to him. She didn't hide. She simply said hi. It almost broke him. They sat. The world outside moved fast, but their table existed in slow motion. Ethan cleared his throat. Zuri, I don't know how to do this, but I want to try. Zuri nodded thoughtfully, like an 11-year-old judge deciding a man's fate. What's your favorite color? She asked. Ethan blinked. Blue. She nodded again. Okay, mine's yellow. A pause. Then she smiled, small, cautious, but Nia watched them, heart tight, but steady. Maybe this was the beginning, but beginnings are fragile. Because while they talked, a phone camera clicked from behind a menu. Another from outside the window. another from a passing taxi. The story was no longer theirs alone. And as the pictures spread online, Mrs. Caldwell received them within minutes. Her reaction was not quiet. She stood, palms flat on the marble table. "If Ethan won't end this," she murmured, "then I will." She lifted her phone. "Give me Vivian, the fiancé, the one whose life Nia had ruined, the one who still had something to lose." Vivian answered, voice thin and angry. Mrs. Caldwell spoke slowly, precisely. "It's time we protect the family. Are you ready to do what must be done?" Vivian's silence said everything. Back at the cafe, Ethan laughed, genuinely, for the first time in years, as Zuri told him about her favorite cartoons. Nia watched him, watched her daughter, watched the fragile possibility forming between them. But outside, a storm was already gathering. And this time, it wasn't just emotional. It was strategic. It was wealthy. It was ruthless. The photos hit the internet before Ethan even made it home. In under an hour, Billionaire CEO's secret daughter was trending. And in the Caldwell penthouse, Mrs. Caldwell watched the headlines with a cold, calculated stillness. Vivian, face pale, mascara smudged from rage, stood across from her. "You didn't tell me it was this bad," Vivian snapped. Mrs. Caldwell didn't blink. "You wanted your fiancé back. I want my family preserved. We can get both if you're willing." Vivian crossed her arms. "What do you want me to do?" Mrs. Caldwell slid a folder across the table, not with anger, but with the precision of someone signing a business merger. Inside, tabs, timeline, photos, a full dossier on Nia. She was nobody, Mrs. Caldwell said, until she decided to attach herself to my son. Make the world see that. Vivian hesitated. Even she wasn't sure how far this was going. But pain makes allies out of enemies. She took the folder. Across town, Nia made dinner while Zuri finished homework on the couch. Everything felt normal. But normal has a short lifespan when the powerful feel cornered. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You should have stayed invisible." Nia froze. Then another. "He won't protect you." "He never has." She deleted both. She wasn't giving fear the dignity of space, but her heart thudded in warning. Moments later, Ethan called. "Nia," he said, voice tight. "My mother is escalating. I think she's planning something." Nia exhaled sharply. "Ethan, my daughter is here. Just tell me straight, are we safe?" There was a long silence. Too long. "I don't know," he whispered. Zuri looked up from the couch, sensing the tension. "Mom, what's wrong?" Nia forced a smile. "Nothing, baby. Finish your homework." But that night, she double-checked the locks. Twice. At the Caldwell office tower, Ethan stormed through the executive floor. His mother waited, calm, composed, sipping tea like her empire wasn't on fire. "You're destroying people," Ethan said. "I'm protecting you," she replied smoothly. "From what?" "My own child." Mrs. Caldwell set her tea down with a soft click. "Don't be foolish. That girl is not a child for your future. She's a liability, a headline, a scandal, a threat." "She's my daughter," Ethan snapped. For the first time, her expression flickered, disbelief, then disappointment. "Ethan, listen to yourself. Emotions are temporary. Wealth is permanent." He shook his head. "If she's a problem, then so am I." Mrs. Caldwell stood, slow, deliberate. "Be careful what you declare, Ethan. You forget who built this life for you." "No," he said quietly. "You built a cage, and I lived in it." He walked out, and for the first time in years, she didn't know how to stop him. Loving this series? Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. Later that night, Vivian made her move. She leaked a rumor to a hungry blogger. Insider claims woman staging a hoax against billionaire family. A smear campaign, anonymous sources, fabricated timelines, fake messages. Within minutes, trolls swarmed Nia's social media. Gold digger, liar, fraud. Zuri, in the next room, heard the notifications exploding on her mother's phone. "Mom, is it because of me?" Nia knelt, holding her daughter close. "No, baby. This is what happens when the truth starts winning." Meanwhile, Ethan stared at the same headlines from his penthouse, jaw clenched. He finally understood. His mother wasn't going to back down. Vivian wasn't going to back down. The world wasn't going to back down. If he wanted to protect Nia and Zuri, he would have to choose them openly and publicly. For the first time in his perfectly curated life, Ethan Caldwell realized he was at war. The storm didn't hit with thunder. It started with a whisper. A receptionist at Caldwell Tower scrolled through her phone, eyes widening. A junior analyst dropped his coffee. Within minutes, every screen in the building glowed with the same headline. Ethan Caldwell requests emergency press conference today. Rumors exploded instantly. Hostile takeover? Corruption? Marriage scandal? No one guessed the truth. Not yet. Across the city, Nia packed Zuri's lunch for school, the morning light soft against her tired face. Her phone buzzed again and again. Friends, co-workers, strangers sending links, headlines, questions she had no strength to answer. Zuri watched her mother's expression tighten. Is it because of the test? She asked quietly. Nia sighed, smoothing her daughter's curls. It's because some people fear the truth, but the truth doesn't fear them back. A soft knock sounded at the door. Nia opened it and froze. Ethan, not in a tailored suit, not in his polished CEO shell, just him. Eyes sleepless, tie missing, shoulders heavier than any company he'd ever run. Nia, can we talk? She hesitated, then stepped aside. Zuri peeked from behind the couch. Ethan knelt to her level, slowly, respectfully. Hi, Zuri. She fidgeted. Are you here to talk to Mom or me? He swallowed. Both. Zuri nodded like she'd been expecting that answer. Nia crossed her arms. You have 5 minutes, Ethan. I have to take her to school. He looked at her with a steadiness she didn't recognize, the look of a man who had finally decided something. I'm calling a press conference today. Nia's heartbeat stalled. That's not necessary. It is, he said softly. I'm going public. Zuri blinked. About me? He nodded. About the truth. Nia's breath shook, fragile, angry, protective. Ethan, do you understand what that means? For her? For us? Yes, he whispered. And that's why I'm doing it. Hours later, the world watched. Cameras pointed at a podium in the lobby of Caldwell Tower. Reporters elbowed for space. Security moved like a wave. Then Ethan stepped up to the microphone. No script, no PR team, just a man who had run out of places to hide. My name is Ethan Caldwell, he began, voice steady. And today I want to acknowledge something I should have acknowledged a long time ago. The room went silent. I have a daughter. Her name is Zuri. Reporters gasped. Cameras clicked like 1,000 heartbeats. She is not a rumor. She is not a scandal. She is my child. At home, Nia covered her mouth with both hands, tears gathering despite her fight to hold them back. Zuri leaned forward on the couch. Mom, he said my name. Ethan kept going. I failed her. I failed her mother. But failure ends today. A reporter shouted. Is this woman trying to extort you? Is she lying? Ethan didn't hesitate. No, she is telling the truth. The only truth in this entire situation. Mrs. Caldwell watched the live broadcast from her penthouse, the color draining from her face. Vivian dropped her tablet in shock. This was not the plan. Not even close. When Ethan finished, he stepped away from the podium as dozens of questions fired at his back. He ignored them. He had finally said what needed to be said. Meanwhile, Nia stood frozen in front of the TV. Zuri tugged her sleeve. Mom, Nia blinked, tears slipping free. Yes, baby. Zuri smiled, small, hopeful, brave. Does this mean I don't have to hide anymore? Nia knelt and pulled her daughter close. No, baby, she whispered. You never had to hide. Not once. But as she held Zuri, one thought crept in. Ethan had just taken on the world, and the world was about to strike back harder. On episode 3. Subscribe now, the backlash is coming, and it will hit harder than anyone expects.